Today, how you doing, by the way? I would like to talk to you in this Godshot about something really, really important. Okay, how do you see yourself and your life? Do you love being you? Do you get up in the morning with this sense of like, it's good to be me, it's good to be alive, it's good to be living my life? I believe you have that, you don't, it makes all the difference. I was a kid that didn't have any self-esteem. I talk about that in some of the other God shots about how, having acne as a teenager, not having exceptional athletic ability, not being particularly brilliant up here. A lot of things caused me to be down on myself. I know what that feels like, to just feel like everybody's got it over you, God blessed everybody better than you, and it's nowhere good where that goes. I wasted a lot of years of my life and just got stuck in a lot of pain because of it. So I hope that this particular God shot will reach somebody who's going to be flipping through the God shots and say, self-esteem, I don't have any, or I could use more of it, and you're watching right now. Because it makes all the difference, how you see yourself in your life. You have a lot of ways to define yourself, a lot of adjectives, a lot of labels that you put on yourself that other people throw on you. Which ones do you hold on to and which ones do you let go of that don't serve you? Your ultimate label is that you're God's beloved child. You are the child of the one true King. Man, I'm hoping that something happens with this God child, all the others, that causes you to be more alive with that. Because it makes all the difference. I want to give you a quick example of this. Was a baseball team that I coached. I was a youth minister at a church in Long Island City. For those of you who have been to New York City, Long Island City is the part of Queens, the part of New York City that's right over the 59th Street Bridge. It's a rough neighborhood. They were rough kids. The youth group at the church, we had some good times with them. Okay, good. That summer, after my first school year with them, they come to me and say, Tony, would you coach our baseball team? I said, nope. And they were surprised because they're like, Tony, we thought you loved us. I said, I do love you. That's why I said no. Like, what are you talking about? I said, look, I love baseball. I watch it. I played it, but I never coached it. You need to go get a real coach that knows what they're doing. They're like, Tony, we had somebody. So the other coach dumped them. And after 3 minutes into the first practice, I began to understand why. I took the team, and I warned them. I said, I don't really know what I'm doing. But anyway, why the other coach dumped them? Well, they didn't play very well, but more importantly, they didn't listen. I would find myself giving instructions, get out there on the field. Next thing I know, they're in the stands picking up girls. And between they're not playing very well, them not listening, me not knowing how to coach, guess what kind of summer we had? It was a nightmare. We only won one game the whole summer, and we shouldn't have won that game. You might be thinking, oh, was it a forfeit? Nah, it was a weird situation. The umpire had to be stoned on something because if you were out, he called you safe, out, balls were strikes. It was crazy, and we happened to win. Then it came time to the playoffs. Now, in the playoffs, every team in the league gets in. But who do you think the last place team gets to play? The first place team. That's the rules, okay? First place, last, make it easy for them. They did come in first. Let me tell you the difference between the two teams. The first place team was what they call a stacked team. That means like 150 kids tried out. They took the best 15 players. They were undefeated. They massacred everybody in the league. You know how bad they beat us? 27-1, and that was a game they called after 7 innings or 4, whatever it was, because of the mercy rule. Can you imagine we would have played a full game, what the score might have been? That's who we got to play. Now, before this first round of the playoffs, this game against this first place team, let me tell you the contrast. My team, was not only not a stacked team, I took anybody. As long as you wasn't older than the age allowed, 14 years old, I took you. We had kids all the way down to 9 years old on a 14-year-old league, okay? Little brothers wanted to be with their older brothers. It was the only fun thing to do in that town that summer. And I took you. You had one arm, half a leg. You could be on the team. You can't be any worse than some of these other kids. So that was the matchup. Pull my guys aside and say, guys, what do you think? You know, we lose today. That's the end of the season. You don't get any more chances. What do you say we win? What do you say we go out there, we pull what would have to be the upset of the century? What do you think? They got fired up. They got fired up, and they even want to say a prayer, which I wasn't able to convince them to do before, and went out on the field, and guess what happened? We killed them. 10-5. You can't even say like it was a close game, you barely eked by. No, we dominated them. Then I got all these kids walking around like, we just beat the undefeated first place team. Maybe we could beat everybody. And they did. They went on to become the New York City champs that summer in the YMCA League. Now, I know it sounds like a Disney movie, so I'm showing you the newspaper clipping, okay? What's really interesting is that shortly after this happened, Disney came out with a movie called Hardball. And it was a very similar story, even about the uniforms and everything was real similar. In fact, you know, Keanu Reeves plays the coach, and it was the same story, except for they won. It was also based on a true story. They won during the regular season. We didn't win till the playoffs, really. And nobody died on my team. But it was weird. Friends who knew my story would call me up and be like, Tony, Disney ripped off your life story. They made a movie out of it. Keanu Reeves is playing you. So anyway, why am I telling you the story about this team? Because this whole God shot is about self-esteem and how you see yourself. All season long, these kids saw themselves as losers. We stink. We're horrible. Blah, 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 blah. A lot of things I can't repeat here on a video. But, you know, their esteem was down low. And they didn't see themselves, and they played lousy. Playoffs, they saw themselves as champions. They started to play as champions. How you see yourself. I wanted so much for those kids. They really, really needed some kind of shot in the arm to make them know forever that they were blessed, that they were worth something. And God gave it to them. But only once they changed the way they saw themselves. Okay? And their performance flowed out of that. It always does. This whole thing about life is being available for God's Spirit to find you and be alive in you. And if you don't believe you're worth anything, you don't see yourself as blessed, as somebody that God's Spirit could live in, not much is going to happen for you. This is not about ego. This is not about you're not better than anybody. This is not walking around with some of the false self-esteem that gets floating out there of like, oh, I'm number one, I'm this, I'm that, blah, blah. Shut up. You know you're worth something. You never have to shove that in someone's face. It's something that you have for yourself, okay? And you never need to make someone else feel like they're lower than you. No one in the world is lower than you. No one's above you either, okay? One of the saddest things I ever saw was when I was substitute teaching in a public high school. There was as a special ed teacher that day, I got to sit in the special ed rooms where they had done some ceramic projects. And this was an extra one that was left laying around. It hurt me to see it. It's a heart, but it's broken off. And this ceramic heart says, love me less. And I saved it. I saved it because I pray for whoever made this. And my prayer, my life is just to do everything I can so that young people never feel this. That because this special ed kid, you know, God knows what they went through, what they've been told by their parents, their families, maybe other people, the world, who knows. But they felt like they were loved less. Man, you should have self-esteem because you're loved by God. And then you got to live right. Because there's no darn reason to have self-esteem if you don't live in a moral and decent, right way. You have no integrity. Why the heck should you have self-esteem? So it's about first knowing that you're loved by God and then living right to His code with His love in you, and that's why you're worth something. So never, ever, if you know anybody that's going through life feeling like they are loved less for whatever reason, please spread this word to them. Please turn this them onto this video, and just know that. And if you struggle with it like I did, you know, you can make that change. I did. My self-esteem was so poor, I didn't talk to nobody for 4 years of high school. Yeah, and now I'm making 80 videos on YouTube and talking to 600 groups a year. So we could change. Okay, ask God to help you do that. I know that's how I did it. Okay, I love you. I'm praying for you, and keep shining and be shining. Know that you are shining with something beautiful and amazing inside you. Okay, God is good all the time.